As you would have figured by now, right from the crack of dawn this morning, we've been bringing you rolling coverage and the latest on the developments in Senekal in the Free State. We do have on the line now the Democratic Alliance Federal Council Chairperson Hellen Zille, who was in Senekal earlier on. I'm not quite sure if she's still there, but she will clarify that for us. And she joins us on the line. Ms. Zille, a very good afternoon to you and thank you for your time. Are you still in Senekal as we speak?
No, we've just left Senekal, Thami, and we're on our way to Johannesburg now.
And how have the developments been there? I mean, I assume that you were there from quite earlier on today. What is your assessment of the situation?
Yes, indeed, I have been there since early on this morning. The assessment of the situation is that there were some very militant crowds. There was a militant EFF crowd and a militant crowd of people who were feeling very strongly against the EFF. But there was also a large number of moderates, black and white South Africans, who came together, who held a prayer service, and who vowed to stand together against the killings and against the murders and to try and make South Africa succeed together. And I was very pleased to see that a lot of people were trying to prevent the polarization rather than fan the flames.
And why did you, as the Democratic Alliance, decide to have your presence felt there today?
Well, we decided to be there because it's crucial that we get our message across, that violence solves nothing, and that we stand with the farmers and with the farming community of all races, because you must remember that black farmers are being murdered, white farmers are being murdered, colored farmers are being murdered. It's irrelevant your color, farmers are being targeted out of all proportion to their numbers. And that is why it's really important for us to say farmers are crucially important to the future of South Africa. Without farmers, none of us are going to eat. Farmers have to be safe, and all South Africans have to be safe. And if we want to save our rural areas, rural towns, we have to stand against farm killings, all of us.
Last week, Ms. Zille, you would have seen, or when the first court appearance took place and the police van was torched, there was no sort of retribution at all from members of the police who were there on the ground. What do you make of that? What's your comment?
Are you saying that the police didn't arrest the person who was responsible for burning the police vehicle?
Not the arrest of the person, but what happened at that particular moment. If this situation was turned around, as we've seen, in so many instances in our recent past in South Africa, if it were a black crowd that was protesting there, the question that many South Africans are asking is, would the police have acted in exactly the same way, where they had more of a stand-back approach? Let's not, inflame this situation any further. Clearly not the same type of response that would have been seen or has been seen previously in other non-white communities.
Well, I think South Africans know how many things are burnt all the time. Buses get burnt, taxis get burnt, trains get burnt. I can't tell you how many trains get burnt. I'm obviously fundamentally opposed to the destruction of any kind of property through arson, any kind of property at all. I do understand that a person has been arrested for that, which is a very good thing, and people must go to court if they are charged with arson or anything else, damage to property. But the point is, throughout South Africa, people burn things all the time, and very, very few people are ever caught for it. It's one of the sicknesses of this society, that if you don't like somebody and you don't like something, you burn a school, you burn a clinic, you burn a hospital, you burn a click store. I mean, what kind of country are we that we do this?
And what we have seen, Ms. Zille, is when those instances happen and public property and government property is burnt, that those people are usually arrested. In this case, one person has been arrested and have subsequently been denied bail. One person.
Yes, I mean, I don't know how many people it took to light a police vehicle, but how many people were arrested over the burning of the schools in Vembe? Of course, if people burn property, they must be arrested, and one man has been arrested for setting a police van alight. But can you please tell me how many people have been arrested for burning down almost all the schools in the Vembe district? None, as far as I know.
Is this a racial issue?
It's an issue of people being targeted on rural farms. And black people are targeted on rural farms, their cattle are stolen. White people are targeted on rural farms, their cattle are stolen and other things. And it's a question of defending people from violent crime. And people who want to turn it into a race issue, like many people want to turn everything into a race issue, must do that on their own, not with a democratic alliance. We stand on principle against violence and against murder of all kinds, and against arson and against burning of all kinds.
Do you acknowledge that there are instances when race forms the bedrock of people's reactions, that race does at times play a part in what people choose to do or not do?
Well, race is a very powerful political mobilizer, and all demagogues use race. All demagogues will tell people they are victims because of some biological characteristic of theirs, and all people who want to abuse people's emotions will sweep them up on the basis of race. So, of course, it's a very powerful factor, and we acknowledge that emotions play an enormous role. But the critical thing is that when people have thought beyond that and thought about how this country is going to feed itself and thought about how we are going to actually make progress together, then rationality kicks in. And I hope that that is the overriding factor. Most South Africans are rational. Most South Africans are moderate. Most South Africans know that we will not succeed as a country unless we succeed together. And so we don't want to drown together.
You said that we need to reach a point where, as you say, think beyond that. But how can we think beyond that when we are still in that?
Well, you only get beyond something by being able to see into the future and shape the future. The future isn't inevitable. We make the future. And if you sit here and say, this is how it is, it'll never change, well, then you are chained by the past. We have to own the future, and those of us who want to build South Africa, not break down everything there is, are the majority of South Africans, and we have to work together to build, not destroy.
Before I let you go, Ms. Zille, you were there today, chiefly, I assume, because the EFF is the one that started mobilizing and saying that they were going to be there today.
Now, please don't put motives in my mouth.
I did say in the assumption, and I give you the opportunity to correct that. As I said, it's not a fact that I'm saying. It is a question, and you have every right to correct that. So had the EFF not stood up and said that they were going to be there today, what action would the Democratic Alliance have taken? Would you have been in Senekal today?
Well, just as we were there last time when the EFF wasn't anywhere to be seen, we were there again this time.
Do you think that it was opportunistic of the EFF today? The ANC Youth League says it was opportunistic of them to be there. Is that your sentiment as well?
You better ask the EFF. I'm not their spokesperson.
Well, thank you very much for your time this afternoon.
It's a great pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye now. That's the DA's Hellen Zille. They're making their way out from Senekal, saying that they were there the last time. They are there today with or without the intervention of the economic freedom fighters.